You remember this, don't you? Star Wars Outlaws is Ubisoft's biggest marketing campaign ever, right? Well, that would be pretty great if they got a bunch of people in on like early access and, those people were able to get around and play this amazing game. This AAA game, costs a lot of money to produce. Big studio like Ubisoft, pretty professional, been around for a while. Oops. Oopsiesoft. There we go. Remember, I predicted this in the last video we talked about Ubisoft, right? In the Fortress video? Oopsiesoft, here we go. Oopsiesoft has asked a bunch of Star Wars Outlaws PS5 players to install an update and restart their save files from zero due to a game-breaking bug or bugs. So who knows? Maybe the Sarlacc pit does cause your game to crash after all. If you continue on a prior save, you will unfortunately face issues and progression blockers. That's right, champ. You may run into that one thing that you trip over forever. Players paid over $110 for this, right? Now listen to how this reads, right? This is just dumb. Like, I get like immersion and stuff, but you're asking people to restart their games. Just be straight with them. Some of this doesn't even make sense on like a grammatical level. Here we go. To best experience the Outer Rim, we rolled out a maintenance to make sure everyone is playing the latest version of the game. As one of the players affected who had access to an older version of the game, we are aware you might be encountering some issues after this recent patch. We sincerely apologize for any inconvenience this may have caused. To solve the issue, please make sure you are playing version 1.000.0002. Here's how to check your version. From the game title, select Options. Go to Information. On the version line, locate the version number. Once you've confirmed you have the latest version, please start a new save to fully enjoy Star Wars Outlaws as our team intended. For now, if you continue on a prior save, you will unfortunately face issues, and as quoted before by Culture Crave, progression blockers. Ooh, isn't that what they give the kids that want to change their gender? Progression blockers? Maybe I'm getting it wrong. But I wonder, what are these game-breaking bugs that are just wreaking havoc throughout this poor... Oh, maybe it's one of these. That's kind of bad there. You see that? That she's swinging away, just, and this lady just keeps zapping back into that, just metamorph. She melted into the bike for a minute there. But every strike, you see, she's just sticking right back into it. It's like it's magnetically charged. I didn't know this character had like a metal spine. Maybe that's how it works with the speeders, right? You have like a metal spine and then you just like magnetize yourself into it, and that way you don't fall off the dang thing. But no, look at that. And our good old Uggo there, she's throwing the old haymakers to her, and it ain't having no effect. Like, this is one of those UFC fights that just never ends. Just two dudes that are so equally matched and taking it to the face. Like, look at these. This is full body, and she's even getting knocked down by the speeder. The speeder's beating her up. I wonder if this is one of the game-breaking bugs. Oh, but wait, let's go over here and check this out. Oh yeah, you remember the stormtrooper that just gets pimp slapped in the back of the head, catches the backhand? The knucks, if you will. Get some knucks to the back of the head, and then down they go, like, sleepy time for you. Boop, boop, time to go to bed. Right? And maybe that's one of the game-breaking mechanics, And I don't know. There's a lot of them out there. Let's remember, too, that there are stormtroopers out there that literally cannot sense you until they enter your hitbox. They are looking right at you, and they... Look at this. Watch this. They're looking right at her, and they're like, whoa! Just waiting for that Metal Gear Solid alert noise to pop up, a little exclamation point to jump up over their head. And this guy, he's looking straight at her, and she just walks right up, wearing her leather jacket and her tube top there, or whatever it is, t-shirt, walking right in there and just acing that guy. Look at that! Just right in there! No problem at all. And then we're back to these guys. They can't even hit a target dead on. Now, I get the joke, right? But it was later, like, canonized, I think, right? That they explained that in the novel or something in the expanded universe that's now decanonized. But they did explain that that was like due to a rash of like misaligned lenses and a new series of blasters they just weren't aware of. I guess it was kind of also sort of playing on the Vietnam rifles that kept fouling themselves. So this was the joke about that they worked into why the stormtroopers had to keep missing in the movies, because you get a direct hit on one of the characters in the movies, that's going to leave a mark forever on the character, and they don't want to do that. They want to make them all heroic and faster than the laser, faster than the lasers. But there again, I mean, speaking of being faster than lasers, you've got this brilliant gameplay here where the characters just wait to be shot at. I mean, look at how much easier a mission is when the character's just standing there, just waiting to be shot. This isn't even in like her like superpower to move very fast or anything like that. The character's just like, no, I'm good. Just hit me a couple more times here. I need to go on a coffee break anyway. But it's just great. Just great gameplay here. Just solid work. And of course, any one of these could have been the game-breaking bug that sent this thing through the roof. And you guys have seen even more clips than this. This is just the stuff that I've run across that just gets me every time. They're standing there waiting to be hit. And you can see all the adversaries over there. They're just hanging out. Those guys are driving right by her in the background. Unless they're pre-programmed to just waltz by, right? Like they're NPC characters that aren't meant to engage the player character. They're just decorative. Ooh, the stormtroopers are coming in the background, and whoever these armored, I don't know, what are these, doulas? I don't know what these are. They look like priestesses, but they're like armored faces. Weird bug heads. I don't know. Is that racist? Am I being racist against Star Wars aliens with bug heads? I don't know. Let me know down in the comments. But this, again, more demonstrative of just how seriously Ubisoft is taking everything across the board. As we know, this game has just brilliant quality graphics. You've seen the clips compared to what we were shown in the trailer versus what we get in the game's cutscenes. Not even just regular old running around, because you can forgive that being a little bit choppy, a little bit lesser 4K quality, if you will, than the cutscenes. But no, the cutscenes have her hair just bouncing all over the place, and it kind of looks like Play-Doh. Like it's claymation hair. It's very disturbing. But that's $110 to get a hold of that, and now you have to reset it back to zero. I don't know what that's like. All right, I don't believe in early access. You might call me one of those heretics. I just don't believe in early access. Put out the game when it's done. If it takes more time than you expected, whatever. After a while, that gets annoying saying there's delays, so maybe just set a 10-year development schedule on something, right? And if you finish it in 5, wow, you're going to look great, right? But instead, you're setting these 5-year development schedules, and they end up taking 8 years to get this stuff out. I don't know how long Star Wars Outlaws took to put together just off the top of my head, but it wasn't a week, even though it kind of looks like somebody's final project for their college exam, I don't know what to tell you. You're going to get more of this because this is the way that they like to do it now. The priority is more about showing off that the graphics in the trailer, like how ridiculously realistic they can make everything look, how you could just reach out and pet Nix, right there on the game and stuff like that. That's their goal, not the experience of being an outlaw in the Star Wars universe, as we know. You can take a look at this motley crew right here, and that's not even meant to be fun. It's just a word phrase, I guess. I don't know. I'm not trying to be cute with it. But you take a look at these characters right here, and it's the Star Wars poster set up. There's characters up top. There's light behind them. Ships flying around on one side. I think there's TIE fighters back there. Spooky, And there's a big old pile of Jabba the Hutt there, and some guy's got a staircase going into his armpit. Real neat, real neat. But the problem is that from what I've seen in the gameplay footage and from what I've heard from the people playing the games, this isn't a Star Wars game. And I have to wonder if maybe it never was. Once again, if maybe we're thinking that when they say we made a Star Wars game, they actually mean we made a game that looks like Star Wars, that has Star Wars thingies in it. Because I have a feeling that this was an initial concept that they decided to strap Star Wars to. That they had something laying around in the filing cabinet that was like the Italian job, but with goils, but with the ladies instead of the dudes, If you're feeling that, is that gobbling your ghoul? Huh? Is that gobbling your ghoul there? Gabba the ghoul? But boppity boopy, right? From Family Guy. Boppity boopy. You feeling that, right? Yeah, I think that's what this was supposed to be. I think initially they had a concept for like a female underground kind of gangster that was, all attitude and had a lot to prove, but was a little too cocky to admit that. And it just didn't like ring, they weren't like, yeah, the world's waiting for this. And then, most likely Disney came to them and they were like, Psst, hey, the Star Wars we're making right now totally sucks. Can you like do something with that and, keep to like what we're doing, stay within the guardrails, but like, have a little fun. No, and that's what they tried here. And then they, of course, went to the filing cabinet of ideas that went nowhere before, and they pulled out that Italian job thing that they had. Now, again, this is a theory of mine, right? I just kind of came up with it as we were talking about this. So please, it's not real. I don't know if Ubisoft has a big old filing cabinet or series of filing cabinets in a warehouse somewhere in the Midwest, most likely somewhere near a mountainside. That way it can be disguised from aerial. Anyway, yeah, I'm not saying that that's where this concept may have came from and they just painted Star Warsy stuff over the top of it and sold it. But it sure does feel like that. It sure does feel like there was something else that this was meant to accomplish and it just got a bunch of Star Wars splattered all over it. Like, oops, you got your Star Wars in my Italian job, you know? And because nobody's taking the game itself seriously. These people paid $110 plus for early access to this game. Now, naturally, early access came with like, oh, it's not really done yet. That's why I don't believe in this practice. But they spent $110 on this. This wasn't, you know, pay $110 and then get a golden Jabba the Hutt statue, you know? There's nothing like that. This was $110 to get in early. So this was meant to be something exciting and interesting. And, I don't get the allure of it. And I also think it's pretty predatory to do early access because just finish the game, guys. Just finish it. But they charged $110 for this, knowing full well that there were going to be parts of this game that were going to cause crashes. Why? Because it's early access, meaning the game's not done, meaning you're inevitably going to run into an error that crashes the game permanently, that corrupts the save file permanently. This is it. It is. It's predatory, right? I can't be the only person out here that's observing. Just like they knew this was bound to fail. The whole concept of early access knows that it's bound to fail. And yeah, there are people out there that want to get that access to experience that for whatever reason. But also, like we had the predatory banks were just handing out loans to people that wanted money. Think about that. There are people that want something that's not ready yet, okay? And yet you're still providing this kind of stuff to them. You're providing them an unfinished game that then ruins their experience with that product, gives them a reason to complain about risking $110 to get in early on your Italian job Star Wars game in space. And that's, I don't agree with it, especially when you get results like this right here, where you backhand. He's got a helmet on. It's like there's a sleepy button in there, and that little dust there was her like sleepy gas, like pocket sand from Dale Gribble. And this is why I don't think that there was like any Star Wars intention with this original concept. That's what I'm trying to drive home with this, is that you got early access to a game that was never really complete, even from the stages of concept. It was like mixing two Lego sets. Like you had a bunch of racing Lego sets, and you mixed them up with your Indiana Jones and space Lego sets, and ta-da! This is what you got out of it. And that's truthfully, I can't see it any other way. I think a lot of this happens in gaming now. Let me know what you think down below about it. Do you think that they do this, that they go and combine just stuff they have laying around that's either half done or kind of interesting from 14 years ago, and then try to melt it together with the new demand? Because I kind of feel the fingerprints of that in some of the stuff that's going on. And really, the Ubisoft is kind of at the source of it, but also consider for a minute that you're dealing with Concord. Concord very much feels like it should have come out to compete with Overwatch 1. And it should have been a mobile game that did that. okay? It doesn't have like the AAA, experience of the arena shooter, the hero shooter, okay? It doesn't. It has the experience of like quick cash grab. Instead, it took 8 years, which again, somebody saw Overwatch and said, "Ooh, ooh, gotta have that, gotta have that," and so they tried. And just like this, there were concepts for an Overwatch competitor on the table at that time. And again, they were all ridiculous and over the top in order to avoid copyright infringement and stuff. And then that also explains why, just like this, the UI is so familiar to other products within this brand. And one thing that annoys me is like, if you're going to do a Star Wars thing, try to make it look like Star Wars. I know there are no HUDs in Star Wars, like outside of the your goggle stuff and occasionally your targeting computers, and it's all meant to look ye olde. So work with that. Work with all what that ability is. Work with having the little square slat lighting things and create a HUD, a heads up display out of that. Not this thing that looks like it belongs in a racing game. This looks like, you should be behind like an Aston Martin going downhill. That's what this HUD looks like. It's giving you maximum vision of your surroundings rather than alerting you to what is actually happening in that environment. What's the point of a heads-up display if it's not helping you navigate the environment and, like your weaponry and availability of tools and stuff? Instead, it's all the way down at the bottom. Look at that. Way down here, half faded in. That's where, like, what's going on is happening. That's not a HUD. That's not helpful. But thank God you've got a compass up top because everybody uses the compass in the video game, right? They don't just follow the glowy gold triangle there, diamond. You see, we got to have that compass: east, north, west, west. Remember west? I don't get it. I really don't. Because in space, of course, they go north and west and east in space. The old republic, east, north, west. It's ridiculous. It really is. How lazy a lot of it is when you just stop. Like, this is a big action, right? Like, oh, she backhands the stormtrooper. But if we really step out of it, out of the like the scene here, and just observe how lazy the entire interaction is, you get a picture that this was like one of those. This is what we got left over in the fridge, honey, that doesn't rot, and let's pour it into one dish and dump some gravy on top. A casserole of a game. But I don't know, guys. You let me know what you think about this whole thing. I've rambled enough about it. It drives me up the wall that this is what we're getting for games. They're not even games. They're just half-baked things that a bunch of people worked on over a summer. It's very annoying to be told that this took 8 years when people out there on Steam create much, much more immersive experiences just on their off time, on their weekends after work. It's ridiculous to expect that people to pay $110 for early access. And again, I don't like that. But then turn around and tell them, well, the inevitable happened. Guess what? You're going to have to be like everybody else and restart your game. I can't wait until they finally launch it and then the pressure from everybody playing the game causes something to break. You wait, and then they'll have to get the people who had early access initially to restart their game again, which will put them on the same level as everybody else. Not that this is an MMO, but you're going to be on the same player experience as everybody else because you had to go back to zero a second time, or a third, or a fourth. How many times is this going to continue to happen? We know that Bethesda has these gigantic breaking things in their games. Is Ubisoft decided to embrace this now? Who knows? Let me know what happened, though, with your idea about it down in the comments below. And until the next one, guys, good luck out there.